Hi, I'm Nick and this is the TBT channel. In today's video I'm going to be doing a couple of things to my Chiappa Little Badger. Now this is an odd looking little thing. It is an odd little thing. The Chiappa Badger is a very minimalistic, survivalist even, if you will, fold down rifle. It folds in half. If it didn't have the moderator on it, it would only be that length. It fits nicely on the inside pocket of a jacket, an outdoor kind of wax jacket, for example. It's single shot. It's a hammer, just to let you know, just to show you, it is completely empty and safe. I should have done that. But it's a single shot hammer, single stage trigger. The trigger is nicer than it has a right to be, and the accuracy on these is actually very, very good. They're not a great gun for use at the range because anything that folds in half is just awkward and cumbersome when you're at a shooting bench. But as a backyard, in the back of the car, in your pocket in case you need it, small caliber rifle, it takes some beating. There are several other makes that make a similar kind of thing, single shots, multi shots, things like this, but this one was 140 euros new, okay, which is what, 110, 120 quid, something like that. They're very popular here in France because you don't need a license for them. You need a license to buy one, but it doesn't need its own particular license. Whereas a handgun or a semi-automatic, you have to license each weapon individually. With long-barreled, mechanically operated guns, it's very similar to a shotgun in the UK, where you get a shotgun certificate, and that's it. You can just buy shotguns. You can effectively have as many as you want. There's no real fuss over it, you know, as long as you've got somewhere to keep it, a safe to put it in. You don't have to say, oh well, I want a 410, I have to ask permission to get a 410. Oh, I want a 12, but I have to ask. None of that. It's just, you get, if you've got a shooting license, whether it be a hunting or a target license, you can have as many of these as you want. And for that reason, they're very popular. In the UK, there are people who have them, but because it takes up a slot on a firearm certificate, and slots are quite precious, there's not many people who want to use a slot up on just a cheap fold up single shot 2.2, which is a shame because they're a great little rifle. And you know, places around the world where they are allowed, everywhere except the UK, they're quite popular. This one I've done a few things to. I've had it for a number of years. I've got this when they announced confinement, I think, to stop me, because we weren't allowed to go more than, I think it was, a kilometre from our homes when the confinement thing came in. You could go out for X amount of hours a day, but you weren't to be near people. You had to be within a kilometre from home and things like that. And we lived on the edge of a wood, so I got this just with the moderator on it, so I didn't upset people, just so I could go down the wood and shoot and plink and, you know, keep myself sane during those crazy times. A guy on one of the forums 3D printed this for me. It's a new fore end. Normally it just has weaver rails, 4 of them around there, which are quite uncomfortable, not very pretty. So he made me a little fore end for it with a dovetail top to it. I made myself, I say made, I cut, polished and then painted a steel barrel sleeve for the barrel, just to get some weight out front, because they are very minimalistic and very light, so some weight there just to keep it stable. I've fitted the rear sight. You can see on here, the one that comes with it is a very basic thing indeed. This is actually a rear sight off of a original / Diana model 5 or 6 target pistol. That's one of those sights, and I managed to adapt it and put different holes in so it accepted that. And also, that's just a piece of black plastic that I turned to the right size, put a bore through it, and it just take off the back of the stock there, pushed it onto the wire, and it's just a little bit more comfortable than putting your cheek against what is effectively just a coat hanger. You'll see at the back here that there is a holder for a dozen 2.2 rounds. There's still some. This gun just sits next to the kitchen window really, in case it's needed. So what I'm doing today is, first of all, it's got this bloody great daft silencer on it. Look, it had a SAC moderator on it, and my friend Den bought a gun off of me, and the gun that he bought off of me had this moderator on it, but he didn't like the moderator. So he wanted the SAC, so I put the SAC on there, and I regretted it really, because the SAC moderators are really very good. There we go. And they're compact and they're quiet. This one's quiet, I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's a steel moderator, and it's bloody huge. You know, you're getting one of the most compact little folding rifles ever, and then putting the same length again on it as a moderator. So first of all, we're going to get rid of that. Now, I have got coming from the States a Crossman 240 XL air pistol, which is the uprated 240 that's already got all the toys on it. Apparently, I've not seen it yet. I've not seen one yet. I can't find any in Europe. I've ordered one from the States. I think it's threaded for a moderator, and if it is, I'm going to put that on there. Huh? You may be thinking, well, what a silly thing to do. That bloody great thing, that is bigger than the pistol. And you're right. But because I've got this operation coming up on there, what I want to do, I've set myself up a 6-yard target range there for doing 6-yard targets, air pistol targets. And on one of the forums, there's an informal monthly competition. And I'm just going to put that on there, because I'm going to only be able to shoot one-handed. It's just going to give it some weight, some stability, to see if I can do any form of target shooting with that gun. I'm going to put a red dot sight on it. So that's where that's going. And when I was down the gun shop, which for me was only a few days ago, for you it may be a month since I did the video of that, due to the way YouTube works, I got a couple of SAC moderators. I got a silver one and I got a black one. The silver one I'm still thinking of putting on my 17 HMR, because that's a stainless finish gun. It's a CZ455 in stainless. So I'm thinking of putting that on there, but I thought this one, perfect. I'll put him on my little Badger. So that's what I'm doing there. Now, the accuracy of this, I've taken this to the range and on bags and all that kind of stuff. And this is every bit as accurate as my HW60 2.2 rimfire. Put a big enough scope on it, and it can do the groups, but it looks silly with a big scope on it. So what I'm actually going to put on here, because my eyesight's, I thought open sights, it'll be all right. It's only 80, what is it, 82 metres, I think, to the bottom of the garden. That'll be all right. Open sights, I can do that. I can't do that. But I want to put a small scope on it, so I'm going to put this on it. Now, this is an, it could be a CV Life. That could be the name of it. But it's a 4x21 parallax adjustable scope. Now, it is a copy of the Optima Gamekeeper / Hako S2, I think it is. Which were very good scopes, expensive scopes with very, very good optics. This isn't. This is a cheap scope with quite mediocre optics, but the reticule in it, it's got various different dots and lines and numbers and scales and stuff like that. It looks good. The glass isn't all that great, and the magnification certainly isn't 4 times. But it's going to do for this gun, because this is just a short range garden gun. That's just used for, well, magpies really. Very little else comes into it. So I'm going to mount that there. Okay, and then we're just going to do these up at the side. The mounts on this are integral, so there's no trying to get your reticle straight, level and all that stuff. It's already done for you. It's in there, it's fixed. If you don't like it, tough. Fortunately, this one is actually in the right place. I've had it on a couple of guns, I've had it on a crossbow. It's fine. You know, it works. It's nothing fancy, but I would love one day to get the original one, the proper one. Just because I just want this scope to be better, and it never will be. It never will be. I just want it to be. To move that down so the sight isn't touching there. So that's on there. Now I'll just check the eye relief now. Yeah, okay. There's my eye relief. God, it's an awful lot going on that reticule. There is an awful lot. And that's it. Now, while I've got you, and while this is here, when I come to zero this, there's a way of zeroing. If you've got a gun where the scope is mounted on the same platform as the barrel and you can see through from the back, there is a way of getting a rough zero before you start called bore sighting. And out the back from here, from the house, if I put my shooting bench up by the kitchen door, there is a not telegraph pole, there is a street light 470 meters away, I think it is 470 meters. So what I do is I'll put this, or if it's a bolt action rifle, I'll put it on bags on my shooting table, and then I'll look through the barrel until I find the street light, and then it's rested looking at the street light. Then I just look through the scope and I adjust the scope reticule to find the street light. That way when I get it to the range and I start, I'm getting my shots on target from the beginning. They're not whizzing off and I'm not sure where they're going. But we'll go into that more depth probably when I do the 2-4-3 bolt action, because that's more that kind of thing. Whereas this is just going to be zeroed for probably 40 meters, and then I'll just work out my drop zones from there. So that is it. I've got my little scope on. I've got a much better little moderator on there. It must be time for me to go and play with this. I haven't shot it for at least a week. Please like, subscribe, hit notifications. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.